Sorry, Chair. You know, in court we are accustomed to the abundance of space. So there's no space. Thank you, Chair, and honourable members of this committee for giving me an opportunity to reply. Let me start on the threshold by correcting certain false constructs. We are here upon request by the committee, and we do not belittle this House. We respect this House considerably because in this House lies the sovereign of the people. By same measure, when we ask for the dissolution of Parliament, always remember we speak on behalf of the people. It is the sovereign that has asked that this House be dissolved. But as we speak at the moment, the time within which the House will become unconstitutional has not reached. So it's therefore within our right to appear before the House and make representations because you are still our duly elected leaders. Still on the threshold issues, let me also address another issue that requires clarification. The issue was raised by CJ Kajwang. Actually, in my phone, he served as the people CJ because I went to bail him out. And when I went to bail him out, I recognized him as the people CJ. So you're still the people CJ. Now, the people CJ, the reason why I'm disappointed by this particular select group of the House, by this committee, is this. The idea that gave birth to this bill came from this committee. The report made in June 2019 was a report of this committee. And I can just run through some of the names of the members of that committee. Then we have David Pokising. It is my... Yeah, I'm on my feet.
Yeah. I think, Mr. President, with due respect, do not put members on the wall. We have understood your point. Just
okay, fine.
And Mr. President, this is the procedure of Parliament.
Okay.
Any member of Parliament is allowed to raise a point of order at any point when you are talking.
Yes.
And point of order takes precedence.
Okay.
Yes.
So just remind me when there is a point of order. If I need to say it, you just tell me.
No, you don't see it until I give you the opportunity to say. So if I'm not given the opportunity, then in Parliament they are consulting. So yes, until when I give. So proceed.
I'm most obliged, Honourable Chair. Then the question is this. Do we want KQ to die? What options do we have for KQ? Definitely not. We do not wish KQ to die. We wish KQ to be resuscitated. But we do not want KQ, a 70-year-old man, to be resuscitated with the heart of his or her 7-year-old son or daughter. This is very fundamental. What is the problem that took KQ to where it is? It is a managerial problem. And look, for those who read the Bible, we have the parable of the talents. KQ was given its talents. KAA has its talents. Figuratively, KQ is making a loss of, let's say, 15 billion per year. KAA is making a profit of 20 billion per year. You are amalgamating the two with the hope of resuscitating KQ. What is the net effect? Is that progression? But more fundamentally, this House and this committee in particular must realize what its responsibility is. Your responsibility is to legislate. Your responsibility is to oversight state organs. Is KQ a state organ? Is KAA a state organ? Therein lies your answer. Do not undertake a perilous course to solve problems that do not rest in your threshold. This is not your problem. Let the person who caused the problem solve it. It's as simple as that. Have we proposed solutions towards the problem? It's about 7 months that I've been in office. We have sent memorandum to this House on so many bills, so many regulations. We meet them at the government printer without our input. It is for that reason, therefore, that we request that this bill be rejected in its entirety. I do not want to belittle this House, but there is credible information that this bill did not even originate from the Office of the Attorney General. It originated from the law firms of the individuals who have peculiar interest in this matter. You may not know, but you see, Honorable Member from, is it Bobasi? The President receives a lot of intelligence, which you may not have. I have a lot of intelligence. And in law, there are things we call nullities. They are void ab initio. You cannot do good when you started doing bad. Take this bill back to where it came from. We will meet it there. If there is need for us to input, we'll input. Okay. But for now, it is improper to ask us to use a mango to graft an orange. The grafting will not lie. It is bad from the threshold. It must go. That is the humble request of the Law Society of Kenya. And I believe I also speak on behalf of the people of Kenya. Thank you.
And then I come to Honorable Chamba.
Okay, Chair.
In that order, then we close.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, let me begin by apologizing because I came in late.
Yes.
And I must have missed the beginning part of this discussion. Particularly, I missed the Mr. Havi's presentation. So I'm going to base my comments on what I have heard now, the discussion that has transpired, at least for the short time I have sat here. Chair, let me also say for us to reach the level of that bill, we had engaged a lot of stakeholders, including the KQ management, including Kenya Airways, including the staff, the pilots, the other, the representation of the other aerodromes, and other Kenyans at large. At that particular time, I don't know where the LSK was, that they missed out in all that discussion. But because they feel they have some special place that they must be given their own time, which we have, and we were very interested in this. That is why we have availed ourselves here. Chair, I was also very interested to know whether, because some professions, and we don't blame them, are used to poking holes in everything. Unfortunately, in other professions, including ours, you learn to nurture, you learn to develop, you learn to be patient, you learn to look for solutions. You do not just, we are not always on the avenue of destruction, of destroying what is for the public good. And Chair, I get a feeling that most of what is coming out is not to save KQ. And I think it is in our interest, in the interest of the public of Kenya, to save KQ. Chair, when you think of small countries like Rwanda, that has Rwanda Air, Uganda, Precision Air, Ethiopian Airlines, and then you think of a state like Kenya that prides itself in being a leader in the region, and we let the pride of Africa go down. I think, Chair, I'm sure even you will not want to be part of a group that will let KQ die. And so I think it is in the interest of all of us, in the interest of the public, that we look for solutions to save KQ. And so when we are told that we are not going to save an old man of 70 years with the heart of his small son or daughter who is 7 years, I was very interested to know the small daughter and the small son that the LSK has presented here today. You know, it would have been of interest for us to know this small son and this small daughter. But, Chair, for me to conclude, because initially I had no intention of speaking, maybe because of my own biases, and you know, because, Chair, today is the first time I'm sitting across Mr. Havi. He could be the president of LSK, but because some of us are not members of LSK, we do not recognize his presidency at all. And so let me just say, Mr. Havi, you know, when you sit in a position of responsibility that has been, please allow me to take my time.
He's consulting, he's not even asking for point of order.
When you are holding a position of responsibility, Chair, then you also need to graduate from some level. You graduate from activism to then be a lookalike of some president of some kind. You don't have to continue with your activism throughout, Chair, because today, you know, I was very interested to see Mr. Havi coming to address members of parliament, a house that he has said already is not supposed to be, you know, in place at all. And to close my submission, Chair, I would invite Mr. Havi to come, should Parliament get dissolved, please come and contest in Kajiado, his constituency, where I represent people, because we represent people. We are elected. You are only elected by a small group of people, but we are elected by the majority, actually by all Kenyans. For us to have this house, we are elected. Who elected you, Mr. Havi, to represent Wanjiku? Because we are elected to represent Wanjiku. Thank you.
Well, finally, Vice Chair, then I give directions and we close. I'm seeing the direction we are taking now.
Thank you so much, Chair. First of all, I want to render my apologies for coming late as the Vice Chair. I had a funeral service in my county, in the interior of Kiambu, and I had to attend to the people that elected me to represent them when there is joy and when there is grief, and therefore I had to go. I do not want to talk much because I think my sister and my colleague, Honorable Paris Tobiko, has aired my concerns. I feel that I should not actually engage, and I think I shared this sentiment earlier on with a few members when I heard that Law Society of Kenya would want to come and present their views, and they want to be heard by honorable members of parliament elected by Kenyans from the grassroots level. I have taken an offense with a comment that has come from the so-called president of the Law Society of Kenya. I have taken an offense because I feel...
Mr. Chairman, I think it is decorum to respect others, even if President Havi has actually perhaps...
What was all the word out of the
There should be no
direct... All right.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Let's direct everything through the chair.
All right.
Yeah.
Honorable Chair,
I think I'm addressing the chair.
if I may just intervene, Honorable Chair.
I would really be.
Because Chair, you are allowing the honorable members to berate me.
No,
Yet that's not an issue that is before the committee.
Honorable President of LSK, this is how. Just you go to the subject, but I will seek for indulgence and patience. This is how Parliament works, Havi. You know, when somebody's on the floor, you will have also your time.
Okay,
so long as they are within parliamentary language. And if they are not parliamentary language, somebody will raise point of order and will take it over.
Okay.
But in terms of patience, yes, we exercise patience. This is house of the truth. You have to bring up your heart so that the truth comes out. That's where the problem of the house of democracy. Honorable Mchoma.
Thank you, Chair, for protecting me, and I'm humbled. I was executing a point that I personally feel as a member of this committee, we should not be seen to be treated the Law Society of Kenya with a speciality that we did not give to the other people who came earlier to present their views as stakeholders of the industry in this county hall 2-3 weeks ago. However, because they have insisted that they want to be treated specially and therefore they have to come and fill the spaces like they have filled today, I'm obliged to come and to sit and listen. But inside me, I still feel that the Law Society of Kenya, headed by their president, have held a lot of contempt with members of parliament. This is through the public utterances that we have been consuming. Just last week, we saw what was alleged to have said by the president of the Law Society of Kenya, referring to a discussion.
Chair, I think whatever we're discussing is going to be answered. And my concern is really on issues of public participation on this bill. Despite our disagreement with Nelson Havi on other issues, can we concentrate on the subject?
Okay. Maybe she was making it point on the board, and allow everybody freedom to speak. You may not like what they're saying, so long as they're within parliamentary language. Please, Salam, you know you are Democrats. So, Honorable Mjoma, proceed.
Thank you for protecting me once again. It's unfortunate that this point I'm trying to execute is not within the line of what maybe was expected from here, but it is important for us to say it so that next time when we have people who are coming to execute and present as stakeholders in the committee, then we are able to balance and make sure that we treat everybody equally. There is no way you can go in public as a leader of an association like Law Society of Kenya or an organization and say that you cannot have a debate with a member of parliament on a public television, on a national television, just because you feel you are the president and the panelist who is a member of parliament knows nothing about what is supposed to be discussed. If that statement was not from the president of the Law Society of Kenya, now that he's here, he needs to tell us, because if he cannot hold a discussion on a panel of a national television with a member of parliament like Honorable Gathoni Wamuchomba, a woman rep who is elected by almost 1 million Kenyans, a woman who represents 12 constituencies, a woman who represents over 980,000 Kenyans. If a president of an association, which is represented here, cannot have a viable debate with me on a national television, then even submission here does not make sense. I should not sit here to discuss with him if he feels that I'm so daft, I'm so illiterate, I'm so downtrodden, I'm so thick that I cannot understand the language of lawyers. And therefore, I wanted to put it on record. Okay. We must treat each other with respect, respect members of parliament. You may not like the way I talk, the way I dress, but you must respect that the great people of Kiambu County, the 988,000 people, gave Honorable Wamuchomba the seats, the votes to make her their representative. However I look, I'm sorry, but you have to give me my space. And also you have to give space to the women leaders of Kenya. If you do not carry women with dignity, Women of parliament are political leaders and they deserve dignity and respect.
Okay.
That I must put on record. Thank you, Chair.
Fair enough. Now let's come back to this is how Parliament transacts business, members of Parliament. So we are much in order. As I say, I want us to wrap up. And before I wrap up, Law Society President, you were seeking for a mic. Can I give you maybe 1 minute?
Thank you, Chair.
Then I wrap up.
Thank you, thank you, Chair. I believe.
And next one, Havi, I will really beseech you, President, if you were to restrict yourself within the context of the debate,
Okay.
the context of public participation.
Thank you,
So,
thank you, Chair.
Don't take, let us not take this forum to be a forum of addressing other issues which you go ahead to address elsewhere. Please let us restrict ourselves, and particularly what members were seeking in terms of the bill, Honorable President.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chair and members of the committee. I believe what brought us to this Honorable Committee of the House is the National Aviation Management Bill 2020. And the two honorable members of the National Assembly have confirmed they never listened to what I said. So if that be the case, then I do not see what...
Don't go there,
yeah,
President, let's address the issues.
Chair, you cannot...
Don't again go back, you raise, these people will seek point of orders and I'll give them.
It's okay, Chair. You called me here
Yes.
To submit on behalf of
Correct.
my association.
Proceed.
So, Honorable Chair and members of this committee, it has been said by every honorable member here that there is need for us to revive KQ. And we do agree there is need for us to revive KQ. But I created a dichotomy between KQ and KAA. KAA is a state organ. KQ is not. What is the public good that you seek to protect by insisting on spending public funds towards the revival of KQ without interrogating the fundamental question as to why KQ is where it is? That, Honorable Chair and members of that committee, is a question that we must grapple with. And to conclude, in my opening remark, I said this: Parliament exercises sovereign authority as a delegate of the people, under Article 1. And under Article 95, Parliament is supposed to legislate. The primordial question that necessitates the withdrawal of this bill is this: what you are embarking on is not a legislative exercise. It's not an oversight exercise. It is for that reason, therefore, that we humbly requested that this bill be withdrawn. You see, the executive has its function. The legislature has its function. Implementation and policy decisions are the function of the executive. What you're being asked as a committee is to undertake an exercise that is outside the purview of your legislative power. And we've demonstrated so many fundamental flaws that necessitate that we relook at this thing anew. We cannot patch it up as we go.
Okay.
It will be a coat of many colors. I still request, on behalf of the Law Society of Kenya, which is mandated by Section 4 to advise the government of the Republic of Kenya on matters of administration of justice and legislation, that this bill be withdrawn, because it does not represent the interests of the people of Kenya. And if there is any doubt, the heat generated by those who do not want to give emphasis to the points here can only demonstrate that fact. Thank you.
Chair, Chair, kindly.
No, let's go to
Chair.
the order, the members. Allow me.
Chair.
No. Let's not go there. No,
Chair,
order members. Order.
Please, Chair, I want to say something for the comfort of the Mr. Havi.
What is it?
Please, Chair. Chair, you know, there's a narrow line between private and public, and who we represent, and I think, you know, even private organizations, really, as long as they affect the lives of Kenyans, are important to us in our oversight role. But either way, Chair, what the bill is proposing, KQ ceases to be private immediately it is nationalized. And Chair, as far as the bill is concerned, I want to challenge Mr. Havi that he allows us to undertake our legislative role in whichever way we deem is best, and then after that, he waits for the bill in the courts, in the corridors of courts, and challenges it there. Thank you.
Order members. And as I conclude, honorable members, because we are public and the media is here, I want to correct certain impressions that come from the debate for the protection of my committee. For purpose of record and protection of the integrity of my committee, Mr. President, LSK. And that statement should not be misconstrued to mean that I, as the chair, am opposing. I'm not opposing the bills. To these members when they sit and writing the report. But number one, Mr. President, you insinuated that there are some private people that you want to protect in Kenya Airways. Do you want to substantiate that? Yes. Order. Do you want to substantiate that there are private people that you want to protect in KQ? What is your interest?
Chair, Honorable Chair, and members of this committee, we have come here and we have said what we needed to say.
Okay.
Like Pontius Pilate, we have washed your hands.
Okay.
The fate of the suspect is on your shoulders. How you deal with it, it's purely within your discretion.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. But I just wanted to make that clarification that this committee is not protecting interest as you suggested. We are not protecting any interest.
Okay.
So I want you to go knowing that we want to protect the people of Kenya. And the reason, and also Law Society of Kenya and members of the public, Kenya Airways is, in my view, as my own personal opinion, not as a chair of this committee, is actually public, it's not private. Because it is enjoying our sovereign credit. Yes, it's actually enjoying 75 billion. That if KQ was to go under today, to go under with 75 billion. But that's for another day. And even also, Havi, I want to declare that, order. I also had an opportunity to meet you informally, and I took you through all these things together. So let me be on record. So number one, this committee is not protecting any personal or individual interest in Kenya Airways that you have failed to declare. Number two, and very important, this bill came to Parliament, and let me protect my committee. This bill came to Parliament and my committee procedurally. And if you look at this bill, it is good for record, and media should get this one very clearly. This is a government bill that came procedurally. It went to the cabinet, it was approved, and it landed in Parliament through the leader of majority, as all executive bills. And it was committed by my committee. And by you insinuating that it was drafted by some people you know, is out of this committee and should be expunged from the records. Because if in this committee, there is a road where things come from. They come from government, AG, or whatever, and then they move to cabinet, they are approved, they come to AG, they are drafted, and then it comes to Parliament through leader of majority. So my committee is perfectly transacting its business in accordance with Standing Order 216. For avoidance of any doubt, it has to be clearly understood by the public, because I know you brought a camera for record for LSK, so let LSK know that it seems that there might be some issues outside this bill that we are attempting to address, but it's not the bill. I can imagine that there are some issues, because you concluded also, Chair of LSK, that this bill was not by if was supposed to be. So I don't know who you know. I don't know whether you want to declare that, but because you have given us the power, we will decide. And with those few remarks, honorable members and members of the public, I thank you, President LSK, for coming before my committee. And of course, let me now go to the issues of what happened, what you say with CJ or whatever. That's not part of my committee, so that will be transacted outside there. And therefore, law of natural justice demands that maybe one minute to just partly short says law. Yeah, that's it. 1 minute, partly short.
Okay. May I once more thank you most sincerely, Chair of this committee, and honorable members of this committee. As learned friends, we always realize that we will agree to disagree. And when we agree to disagree, we do it honorably.
Exactly.
That is what we learned friends are known for. But we treasure the work you do on behalf of the people of Kenya. Always be mindful of the fact that even when we give you criticism, we just mean good, the same way you mean good when you voice your criticism. And I want to extend a warm welcome to Honorable Tobiko and to Honorable Mshomba, who will come and defend you when you need legal services. That one you cannot do for yourself as legislators. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Let me not mix. Let me just remain within my party as chair. Because I was going to say, if they are coming to you, then they are past the first place. So you're wishing them a first place. No, you're not. But anyway, so